What we will cover today is first, we will talk about 6 product innovations, 6 new features that will come to automations within the next 2 weeks. We will roll them out starting tomorrow. And then afterwards, this won't take too long, probably like 15-20 minutes. You guys can just like ask questions, and then we just do a quick Q&A afterwards. Exactly. So I will go ahead and share my screen. One sec. So as you can see here, 6 new product innovations. First is a manual trigger. That's actually one of them that I'm going to present in a second in the product itself. So what the manual trigger allows us to do is actually trigger automations from the unified inbox, from the chat controller, where we also compose messages to our customers. And that's very handy, especially for marketing sequences, for example. So what we can do is I can actually show it now. So we'll jump into SuperChat, into automations, new automations. And what I can do now here, as you can see here, manual trigger. We have this new trigger here, and here you can also see already a little preview how it looks like in the unified inbox. So like this is the chat controller where you compose all messages to customers. And here we will have a new action where you can actually select an automation that you set up with that trigger, and then basically trigger that automation from there. And one cool use case for the manual trigger is to actually build marketing sequences. So now we can go ahead and just create one really quick, test, and we will keep it like very, very simple. So what we can do now is like, first of all, we can say for which inboxes this automation should be accessible. If you don't want some users to access certain automations from certain inboxes, you can do that here and just say, hey, this automation should only be really available for my location in Munich, Berlin, or Cologne, something like that. In our case, we will make it accessible for all inboxes. What I can do now is, as you can see here, just create a normal automation. So in my case, what I might want to do is say, hey, first name, and then I go ahead here now and add a wait for, let's say, 30 seconds, or let's do like 1 minute, and then I can send out another message. Bye-bye. And as you can see here, this is like very handy for when we might have a customer that's not ready to buy yet, but he needs like more educational content, for example. So that's a great way of him sending the contact into a marketing sequence where we just, send him a whole bunch of material about our product or our service. And again, that's only one of many use cases that you can do with the manual trigger. Now I can go ahead and actually publish this one, and then I can also show it to you in the unified inbox. So now it's all published. And what I can do now is I go into an inbox. Here I already have a conversation open with myself. As you can see here, we have this new action here, start automation. Now, if I click on this one, you can see here the marketing sequence that we just created, this one. So I can select one of the many automations that I set up for this inbox. And then all I have to do is basically click on start. And now what you already see is I can see there's an active automation, in this case, the marketing sequence test, and it also already sent the message that I defined within that automation. And now it will wait for, I think, the 1 minute that I defined. And then in the next 60 seconds, I think, let's take a look one more time. Short memory. Exactly. Like in 1 minute, I will receive the next message with saying bye, first name, and then the automation is also already done. So that's a really quick, a quick glimpse into our new trigger, into our new manual trigger. And now let's continue with the next one. So the next one is very exciting because I think that was like one of the most requested automations in general, is like automated birthday wishes that we can send out to contacts. And that will be possible with the new trigger that we call a date and time trigger. And again, I will jump back into the product, a lot of jumping back and forth today. Here, as you can see here, by the way, the last message was sent. And now the automation is also completed. So that's just like the ending of the manual trigger. So let's set up and play around with the date time trigger, and let's see how we can actually set up like a B-Day automation. So all I have to do is basically go ahead here, select the, please ignore the copy here. It's unfortunately still in German because we haven't triggered the translations yet. But that's a date and trigger. And all we have to do here is select one contact attribute that we set up in our settings. So what you might want to do is actually set up a custom contact attribute with the type date. And then when you import all your contacts, you can have, one column for the birth dates of all your contacts. And therefore, you also will have all the birth dates within SuperChat. And then here, what I go do is I already created one here. And now I'm asked like at what time I actually want to send out this birthday reminder to the contact. In our case, let's do it like in the morning at 11 a.m. Now, what we can do is we can set an offset of, send it 1 day prior to that birthday or 1 day later, for example. We can do annual repetition, really handy for, again, birthday automation, because what we want to do, of course, send this birthday wish every year on the contact's B-Day. And then here another option, not really interesting for this use case, but is we can also define to trigger that automation only once. Exactly. So what we can do now here, important to keep in mind, like in this use case, it's like very certain that if we want to, for example, send out a WhatsApp message to say happy birthday to that contact, the 24-hour time window from WhatsApp might be closed, so that's very likely. So what I'm gonna do now is actually send a WhatsApp template. Here, send WhatsApp template. Now you can just, again, go into the settings, set up a WhatsApp template with a nice text, maybe an image saying, hey, happy birthday, dear customer. By the way, because you're such a loyal fan of ours, here's a little voucher, for example, where you get 10% off, €5 off whatsoever for your products or services. Really nice way of actually getting customers back into the door and actually winning them over and over again. So that's a new product innovation that we built. Now let's go ahead and check out the last four. So the next one is another trigger, actually. And this one is a trigger that triggers the automation every time a user sets a conversation to done. There are also a whole bunch of different use cases that we heard from customers. One of them is, for example, that we want to reset all assignees and all labels every time we are marking a conversation as done. Or in some use cases where we work with very sensitive data, what we can also do is every time we mark a conversation done is to automatically delete the conversation. And with that said, we come to the next node, and that's an action where we can actually add an action to the automation where we can automatically delete a conversation. And there we can do two things. Either just move the conversation into our trash folder where it remains for 30 days, and then it's after that 30 days, if nothing happens, it's automatically deleted. That's just like how our trash folder works, similar to Gmail or the other email tools specifically. Or what you can also do is just like permanently delete a conversation right away. Exactly. Then the next one, really, really big one, are filters. So in the beginning, we only had the filter of message content and first and last name. What we now added are a whole bunch of different filters. For example, all custom contact attributes can be now filtered by, makes just like building automation so much more versatile and personalized. But we also added a whole bunch of different filters, like opening hours, for example. So you can, add different path of whether the inbox where the conversation was coming in is within the business hours or is outside of the business hours. Then we added a label filter, contact list filter, channel filter, where we can check whether the conversation is from WhatsApp, email, Facebook, and then based on that, we might want to change the copy for like the chatbot that's about to follow. So as you can see, a lot more different opportunities with all these filters coming in place. And again, like all of these features will be rolled out within the next 2 weeks. We are just like in the last process of testing all of them. Then last but not least, Randomizer. There we can actually jump into the product again, kind of makes it a little bit easier to understand what the Randomizer node is for. So in some use cases, especially like in marketing use cases, what we might want to do is A/B or C test a different copy to see which one actually performs the best. That's again one of the many use cases that we can do with the randomizer. So what we might want to do is here, as you can see, randomizer. It's like the translation is not 100% right yet, but here we by default add 4 paths with 25%, 25%, 25%, and 25%. But what you now can do is say, hey, all the contacts that come into this automation, we might only want to have like a distribution of, let's say, 2. 25% of the people coming into this automation, we will actually route this way, and the other 75% we will route this way, for example, again, to test different copy. Or also another very interesting use case that customers also already had is to do lotteries with this one. So again, imagine you want to get more WhatsApp newsletter subscribers. What you can do is say, hey, we have like this big lottery right now going on. You can sign up to our WhatsApp newsletter, and 10% of everyone who actually enrolled in our newsletter will get a voucher again, for example. And then what we do here is we would say, okay, hey, 10% get a voucher and the 90% don't get a voucher, but all of them are actually then opted in to the WhatsApp newsletter. So like here in this specific use case, we would say, hey, here, the 10% you won, here is your voucher, and then the voucher number, and then the rest is like, what a pity, you did not win, but we are happy to have you anyway. Blah, blah, blah. And now we can, add them here into a contact list. And we do this, of course, with both of them. And this is then the list where we basically collect all the subscribers that we want to use to send WhatsApp newsletters to in order to increase revenue, for example. So that's a really quick run through our 6 product innovations. Now I can go ahead here into my slides, see if I missed anything. No, that's basically it. And now I think it would be a great time if you guys have any questions to see whether I can answer them or not. Hopefully I can.
Perfect. So thank you very much for that demonstration, for that little presentation, what we can be happy and curious about to use in not so long future. There weren't actually some questions yet, but if there are, just speaking to all of you, just hit us up with any possible questions. For example, the filter it seems so easy, Mika, but it can get quite complex with the filter. Will we do some extra help center stuff with this, or what's the plan with this feature?
Yeah, the idea of the filters is basically very simple, but they are very, very powerful if we look at different use cases of them. There we will for sure also create like more content on YouTube, so like a whole bunch of different tutorials. as soon as we now tested everything, we will actually go ahead and then, post more and more stuff on YouTube. So therefore, like also head to our YouTube channel, subscribe to, get all the updates, all the educational content. Because like the use cases again are like really, really exciting, because basically with the filters, you can do very, very powerful stuff. We are already testing it with a couple of customers, seeing like very, very great results. So that's definitely something that you should keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So, Victor had one question. What happens if we need to respond to something specific and urgent that we did not foresee in the automated message chain? Is the automation cut off, or does it continue despite our intervention?
Yeah, very good question. There, the rule is again, like we don't cut off the automation at all. You really have to go ahead and cut off the automation yourself. So you saw earlier, I can actually also show it the product really quick one more time, so that it's a little bit easier to understand. So if I'm now here again in the unified inbox, and what I can now do is to just like, have one active conversation running here. I can again like just trigger this one, the manual trigger, Mika, that we actually created this one. So here, for us, it was very, very important that we make it very clear to all agents that work within the unified inbox that they can really see that something is going on here in the background now. That's also why we have this banner, and then here this information, and then basically like this entire type of automations. So now I can really do whatever. I can like, interfere by sending a message. I can assign, I can add labels, I can do whatever. As you can see, the automation will still continue running. What I can do very easily is say here, cancel this automation, then it will be canceled, and now it's done, and we won't send out any more messages or do any more actions that were defined within that automation.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting, because I had a case earlier today where another English-speaking customer asked if it would be possible to pause an automation for a specific customer. I mean, it is possible. I know that, to pause a whole automation, yeah, if I just simply don't want it to run anymore. But it's not possible yet to pause an automation on a customer side. But that's a really great workaround to just cancel the automation while I'm interfering manually with the customer. And now with the manual trigger that we're introducing, it's very easy to just push him back into the automation. The only thing is that he will start all over with the automation when I start.
Exactly.
Is there anything planned like this, like pause an
Yeah.
automation user base?
Yeah. So currently, like as you already said, it's just like really like hard, like stopping, canceling a run. But what we definitely will consider is also to add like a pause option. So if there's maybe like an interference, like for 30 minutes, because they just want to like solve another issue with their customer and then continue like the marketing sequence, for example, afterwards. That's definitely something that we could do. There again, we have like this really nice feature like in our navigation in the web app. I can show it really quick, again, easier to show it, where you guys can really also suggest features. So like here we have this help icon. So just go ahead here, and here we have this suggest functions. Can click on it, and then you will be redirected here, and then you can basically, add all your ideas. And we will also we actually look at them every day, and every week we will discuss them, and then other customers can upvote them. And then if features have a lot of upvotes, we will actually also usually very quickly implement these kind of things. So just something also again to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. Just regarding this little question mark on the top right-hand corner, there's a whole lot of stuff happening there. It's not just improvement tickets or suggest function. There's also the live chat support that we have for you. There's also the help center, which we of course also have in English. And there are also articles about automations. For example, I can just share you one right here. Get started automations, and you can find it there. And what is also important, Mika also already mentioned this yesterday, is that if you have an automation and you have a problem inside this automation, to create a ticket about this from the automation itself. Because this way you send all the information of the automation to our engineering team, and it's way easier for them to figure out where exactly the bug could be. So not just create a ticket or write in the live chat, but go right into the automation where the issue happens and create a ticket. Also, there's a question mark on the top left corner there, I guess. And there you can also create the ticket. That's very important to have in mind.
Exactly. I think one thing that we haven't covered yet, as I think all questions were already answered. One exciting use case that we see with more and more customers is what they basically want to do is combine automations with integrations. So let's say we have a lead form where we actually ask our, lead customer or like support contact for more like information. We usually want to add like all of this information that we, ask the user within WhatsApp to our CRM, for example. That's also actually possible. So what we can do there, I will share my screen again and show it with a very, very simple example. So what we do there, and a lot of customers are also already using that, is let's say I do it very quick and don't be. I have like the example of like a car dealership again, where we just want to ask, okay, hey, what's your budget, for example? So like what we do here is now we send a message and just say, hey, what's your budget? Just like imagine like the contact wanting to buy a car. So then we are waiting for an answer, waiting for a reply here. And in our case, it's a number because we want to figure out the budget. And then what we can do is as soon as the contact successfully responded, we can edit the contact. And in this case, I always say, hey, just create like one contact attribute that you just call, for example, sync. And now we set this manually to, true. And what we can do now is, as we already reached this node, like this action, we can go ahead into Zapier and make and define the trigger there that as soon as a contact is updated and specifically this contact attribute is set to yes, to true, that we then get like all this contact information that we just gathered and then actually send it to our external tools where we actually also want to have all this data. So that's just like very quick. I think you just have to build it once and then it's like also very easy to understand. That's just like a very, very powerful tool actually to send data that we are gathering within SuperChat into external tools with SuperChat and our integrations.
Okay, so this is the point where the automation hands over to the integration, and then the integration gets all the information and puts it into your CRM. And also this is possible the other way around. If you have any information in your CRM that you want in SuperChat, that's a whole just integration topic. You can also sync this information back there. And it's always kind of a back and forth between automation and integration if you combine those two features in SuperChat. Really nice. Victor was just asking, your customers were waiting for these new tools. You mean like the new tools from automation that Mika just introduced in the beginning? I can tell you yes. As a customer success manager, they've been waiting for this patiently, especially the birthday message. It seems such a small thing, but this is really what sometimes makes a difference in the communication with your customer. Something that's completely automated for you. You don't have to work with this on any day, but for your customers, it's very personal. It's just very friendly, and it gives a way more personal connection via the WhatsApp chat between the customer and the company. So it's an absolute win-win. Also, the manual trigger, super anticipated by many of our customers. So this is like the perfect example how you can see that our engineering team is working very, very closely with our customer success team, and we, of course, with you to get the stuff that you really need done.
Yeah, we are also not finished there. So that's just like a whole bunch of new features that we implemented in the last couple of weeks. So like we are already actually working on new stuff that's about to come in the next weeks. Also, I can already tease a little bit. We are working on one very, very exciting AI feature, which will be very, very powerful. So just a little teaser, but a lot of really cool stuff is currently happening with the product that's all about to come.